I teach two modules on the postgraduate course on the International Development Law and Human Rights. One is called Theories of Gender Justice, and the other is called Gender Law and the Global Economy. So what I thought I'd do today is just say a few words about an issue that has been on the top of the agenda for many years in the area of gender and the law. And that is the issue about, do rights matter for gender justice? Well, we would say yes. The UN thinks rights matter for gender justice. We have a specialist convention now called the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It's often said to be the key document for women's rights throughout the world, and over 136 countries have now added issues relating to gender equality into their constitutions. So rights have been used to make progress for women on education, on employment rights, on violence against women, tackling violence against women and so on. So using the language of rights has been really, really important. And you might say, success story. Yep, we need rights. It will make women's and lives better. Not only does the UN say this, but the World Bank says this. In 2012, their World Development Report was entitled Gender Justice for Women. So it was about justice for women. And the bank, usually associated with a sort of different way of understanding than the UN, said it matter because it matters to humanity. We all need to have a sense of being equal and a fair society. But also, of course, important for them, they're arguing it mattered for the world's economy. It's good to have gender justice for the purposes of developing economies in an appropriate way. And really important also, rights have mattered to women's organisations, to grassroots campaigns by women from across the world for the last 30 or 40 years. They've been struggling really, really hard in Latin America, in India, in Africa, all over the world, and in the UK here, to ensure that women have the same rights as men, or that there are rights that are appropriate to women's interests. So we could say rights do matter. But in the course that I teach, and the discussions we have with the students, we actually look at that issue and say, yes, but do they? Is that the reason why women's position in the world has got better generally? Well, it has for some women, but not for all women. We have to look at the fact that still women often are not born, because there's feticide in some countries, so there are millions of women that never see to be born in the first place, and then girls are much more likely to die young when they're young than boys under the age of 5. There's a huge amount of violence that's based on gender still throughout the world. And although women now work and earn money across the world, 43% of the world's women now have jobs of one sort or another. They are often doing the sort of jobs that are low paid, who don't attract employment rights, domestic work, working in factories in difficult conditions, as we know perhaps from Bangladesh recently, in factories where it's so unsafe, 1,000 women and some men, of course, lose their lives. So we look at that and say, what progress has actually been made using the language of rights? Is it the fact that some women have gained and lots of women haven't? And also in our course, we are, unlike the World Bank and probably unlike the UN, we are not only concerned about women and girls, we're concerned about gender relationships. That's why the courses are about gender justice, not about women and girls. Because we look at the power relationships. It's not the case that women always are disadvantaged in relation to men. Men are finding life extremely difficult. In Latin America, in some parts, now many more boys drop out of school than girls. Girls are doing much better in education. So it's not as simple as that. We look at the way in which gender relationships, roles and stereotypes and models work in that relationship between men and women, and also other differences based on caste, class, ability, disability, religion, and so on. So we look at the sort of what is known as intersectional issues. So we actually critically challenge the idea that rights matter for gender justice in the course. In the first course, we look at that through what people have said about these things, the sort of range of theories and views that exist, and we scrutinise those. In the second course, we concentrate more, that's on gender law and the global economy, we concentrate more about the way in which global economic relationships, the way companies work, the way people migrate across countries, what effect that has on gender relations. So if a woman leaves her family in the Philippines to go to work for a family in the United Kingdom or the United States, what are the implications of that? What rights does she have? What problems are left behind? Who gains? Who loses? And so on. So we are really looking, putting up to scrutiny some of the ideas that have perhaps informed policymakers and said, are they really as sound as they are made out to be?